My name's Scott Galloway, Police Chief, Lafayette, Indiana. Welcome to our monthly recap. This is for May 2024. This month includes analyzing crime statistic data, incidents that have happened in the community, our outreach events, and much more. So I want to start today with the May 2024 crime stats. Now we record our stats based on May 2024 from May of 2023. So as you see this release and the stats that MK has produced that we're going to publish, that is what the reference point is. Last year, 2023 May to this year, 2024 May. So I want to first start with burglaries and thefts. Burglary and theft have both decreased. And many times those don't get the attention that a lot of the more violent crimes get, or domestic violence or those kind of things. But these are important crimes to recognize that they have decreased because these are impactful in people's lives. You'll notice that mental health has increased 96%. And our opinion of that is we have installed 2 new employees, our resource navigator and our homeless outreach person. And we think that now that we are interacting with people more, we're having an increased response to our mental health stats. So we think that's the reflection of us getting out in the community more, which is a good thing. Animal control calls have increased by 379%. Again, I think that's from the ACOs doing a good job being more proactive and trying to tackle more problems that they can. They're fully staffed. And we're proud that shootings are down 82% from last May. We don't like any shootings to happen, but we like that trend going down. So now back to major crimes and shootings. We had 2 shootings in May. The first I want to talk about was on Northchester. The victim was shot in the stomach. Again, this was a dispute between 2 known people. Although the victim wasn't cooperative in this instance, we have identified a person of interest. It's important to know that when our detectives go out to these calls, sometimes we get resistance from people that have been shot or victimized. So it's harder for us to solve those crimes, but we still attack those crimes to try to solve them. We've also had a shooting at Cambridge. Again, this was not somebody that got shot. This was a dispute between 2 parties. Again, no injuries. Both of these shootings are under investigation, and anyone with information is urged to contact the LPD. We had a stabbing incident at Pheasant Run. It's an ongoing investigation. I can't share many details about it, but I do want to recognize one of our officers that arrived. Sometimes these go unnoticed in media releases, but Officer Neil Kane arrived, applied tourniquets, multiple tourniquets to the victim, dragged her to a safe place, put pressure on a neck wound that was bleeding profusely, and it's very evident that this victim almost died. If it hadn't been for his quick response and his training, this person would have died. So we thank Officer Kane for his actions in this. That was a violent crime, it was a domestic crime, which are oftentimes very hard to investigate and very tragic. So we thank our officers for doing a good job on that. It's an ongoing investigation, and we hope we have more updates for that soon. So another crime that we were investigating is something we call the sextortion, and this is where somebody would put illicit photographs on the internet and trade them back and forth, and the person who has the pictures would use that information against the person who sent the pictures and threatening. And what happened here was an 11-year-old child shared pictures with somebody he thought was his own age. In fact, it was an adult. This adult has in turn threatened to spread these pictures to a wider net if the child didn't send more pictures. What I want to make sure is clear here is that the FBI stated this is a growing threat to minors. So parents, be aware of that and know to watch your child's interactions online, monitor what they're doing, monitor who they're talking to. We say this all the time, but it's critical. If parents can watch and monitor and maybe put some guardrails on kids' online activities, these things don't happen. And once they do happen, once those pictures are out there, they're out there forever. I want to thank and congratulate Officer Schock and Officer LaRue. They've both been promoted to sergeant. That's a huge increase. That's a huge responsibility. So I want to thank them for taking on that responsibility. I want to also congratulate Officers Anderson and Rainey. They recently retired. They were both sergeants. They have now come back as civilians as part of our community service officers. And what these 2 officers will do, the civilians will do, is things that can be done by a civilian person without having to be sworn, trained officer, all those things that go along with being a police officer.
Hello, I'm Jeremy Rainey. I'm going to be doing polygraphs, backgrounds, computer forensics, phone forensics as part of the new CSO program. So hiring is going to be a priority, and that'll be my responsibility.
Hi, I'm Scott Anderson. I'm a community service officer here at the Lafayette Police Department. I work with the patrol division, and my primary function there is to help the captain of patrol maintain and manage his fleet of vehicles.
Officers Jesse Galvin and Kalani Washington have both been released from the FTO program. The field training program is rigorous. It's about a year long, so we thank them for their great work and their tenacity in getting released on their own to be self-sufficient officers. They're already doing a good job. So when officers go above and beyond, we issue them noteworthy accommodations. And this month, officers Tyler Gregory and Steven Ceballos were issued and recognized noteworthies for their professionalism and their use of de-escalation techniques when they were dealing with an autistic child. We had 3 interns. Start with the CSI. We have a Purdue pipeline, so we have a good internship program both with our sworn personnel. We have a good internship with our CSIs, so we always welcome Purdue students to the Lafayette Police Department. In May, we released a podcast titled Sexual Assault Awareness. Also in outreach, we had Kona with cops and the 1-year anniversary for opening the Public Safety Center. We thank those for coming out. We had food trucks. It was a nice afternoon. People stopped by. Even just driving down the street, they stopped by to get something to eat, and it was nice to visit with the public. As always, we are hiring. Please visit LafayettePolice.us and apply today if you're interested or know somebody that'd be interested in being a police officer. It's a wonderful job, and I'm proud to serve the police department. Going forward, we're going to have a gun lock distribution on June 26th from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. in the community room. Something that we're seeing a lot of already are fireworks complaints. Usually the complaints that the police department get are not the high violence crimes, the things you see on the media. The complaints that we deal with day to day are driving complaints, neighborhood speeding car complaints, parking complaints, and now during the summer months it's fireworks complaints. June 29th to July 9th, 5 p.m. until about 2 hours after dusk, which is about 11:30 p.m., is when you can let fireworks off. Other than that, you can't. Our officers are able to respond to those calls. They sometimes issue tickets that are city ordinance violations. Sometimes they give instructions to people to stop letting the fireworks off. We can confiscate the fireworks. But the reality is this is really an annoyance to people with pets, to our veterans, to people with PTSD, so please respect people and only let fireworks off when you're supposed to. We have several downtown events coming up. We are prepared with operation plans to make sure we're protecting the public. You'll see our officers out there. You'll see barricades and street closures. Please say something if you see something in the streets that you think is out of the ordinary. Our officers are going to be around to make sure we're keeping people safe. Citizens Academy is coming up. This is an opportunity for citizens to get an inside look, behind-the-scenes look at what the police department does. Many people see the officers out in the street, they see traffic stops or kind of wonder what's going on or what's going on in an investigation. This is an opportunity for people to actually see what goes into being a police officer, how the police department operates, what the budget is, all those things that give a citizen an idea of what actually happens in a police department, because it's not what you think a lot of times. Thank you. That's a wrap on our May 2024 recap. Thanks for joining in. Make sure you check us out on our social media pages. We'll see you next month.